to another video. I am your host, Tony Renus, and today we're going to go over the pen tool in Illustrator. So the pen tool is probably one of the easiest ways to actually learn what is going on with Illustrator when you're actually doing a lot of your vectoring and a lot of your illustrations in Illustrator, because it utilizes the anchor points, and this is a good way to also introduce you how Illustrator works, and a great way to do that. Now, when you're doing your own illustrations on your own time, I do recommend using objects that you're very used to. Simplistic objects, whether it be your phone, your keys, a flower, or something along those lines where it's not too complex and you're able to do a lot of your own outlining and then getting into more of doing your own shading and everything else and how you want to pull that off and everything else. So for the most part right now, I'm just going to start off with basic outlines, and then we'll do a whole video dedicated to fill and color, and then from there we're also going to do just other things. So I'm going to start off here. I'm going to switch a little bit of my colors here in the bottom left hand corner. I'm going to go ahead and swap this out for no fill with a very deep black stroke. So the idea here is I'm just going to create outlines for a lot of the objects that are a lot of the pieces to this phone to move this forward. So now when you're dealing with Illustrator, there's a lot of things you got to look into. One of the bigger things is you're dealing with what they call anchor points. And anchor points are points that you're actually going to set down on the actual phone. Or actually, let me just do a quick explanation. So if I'm going to do a straight line, I'm going to go ahead and set this anchor point down here. And if I set another anchor point, this right here will create one set of a line segment that will go from one anchor point to another. These anchor points are what actually cause you for vectoring. So what's going on in Illustrator is you're creating mathematical points for you, and then you're actually putting them together. So one point's going to be another, and that's going to be another. You're not doing the equations. The computers are doing the equations for you. Now, the other part of this is if I click and drag, I'm going to create a curve to that line, and that's what we're going to actually do to create our organic shapes within Illustrator. So you're able to do some really weird stuff here to do that. Now, if I want to go back to a hard line, all I have to do is click on this anchor point here, and now I'm back to creating straight lines and corners. So of course that is not our phone, but that's a shape at least to what we're working with, and we can go on from there. Now, if I was going to vector an object, I would definitely start at a point where I feel comfortable. Any point's going to be just fine. But we're just going to do the outline for right now, and then we'll do the other pieces as we go. So when we're actually starting off, I do recommend with majority, like 90% of your work you're going to do, you really want to set off a base. You want to start off with something here. So what I'm doing here is I'm clicking, and then I clicked and drag for my first anchor point and my second anchor point. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to outline that to the best of my ability there. Now, once that is set, I can easily set down another anchor point and then continuously move on. Now, the other part of this is I want to make sure I want to get as far away as possible from that second anchor point, because I want very minimal anchor points within my actual illustration. Because if I need to readjust everything, if I do little points of anchor points, so if I go into here so deep and I start doing little things like this, these right here are going to be almost impossible for me to edit one by one, and it's going to look really weird when you're getting into your long points. So the idea here is you want to make sure you try to get as far away as you can, and then try to match it as you go. Now, this may require you to do a lot of Control Zing or Control Undoing, and that's perfectly fine. So if you need to edit, the shortcut for undo, of course, is Control Z, and that's very common with a lot of Adobe products, but don't be afraid to do that. So if I need to take a step back and then shorten that up a little bit, please go ahead. Like, it's not a big deal. This is all about practice and getting this through. So once I get to where I want it, and I actually want to readjust stuff here, and as you can tell, this might hit the edge of the screen, so it might require me to slide a little bit, and that's fine. And I clearly can tell this is not going to work, so I can easily set that down, hit Control Z, and do that again. There we go. So I'm going to speed this up real quick, but I'm going to actually get these out, this actual phone outline, and then we'll go for the next step. All right, quick pause. So right here, I'm at the point right now where I can easily got the actual neck of the phone starting off here. And what I'm going to do here is I'm at the point where I can do a hard corner here. Again, all you need to do is click on that one anchor point here, and I'm back to doing 90 degrees, and I can easily just start this off and keep going. Alright, here we go. So we got an outline of our phone. As you can tell, we have a little bit of a weird spot right here. I can easily readjust that in a second. I'll show you how this works. But when you're actually doing this out, you got to remember, a lot of this comes from practice. A lot of this is just going to be a lot of learning how to deal with your curves when you're clicking and dragging, and how they react depending on how you react to your drag. So this is nothing but practice. This is me doing this for over and over several times, and that's why I recommend something that you enjoy doing and outlining, so that way you can enjoy what you're looking at and then get an idea of what to do from here. Also, a big part of Illustrator when you're doing your illustrations is you may not see everything right off the bat, especially when you've been working on this for a couple of say 2-3 hours. You may just finish the outline of the phone. It's just the outline of the phone. But when you start putting some more and more time to it, the more and more details into it, you start to realize how important this is and how well it works together. So for this video, we're going to do some adjustments here as well. So I have my particular path here that is not 100% where I want it. I'm going to take away that one up there. So I'm going to go ahead and take my direct selection tool, which is the white tool here, white arrow. And I'm going to select this anchor point here. And then what I'm going to do is I want to bring that in just a little bit to match that up. So what I did here was I grabbed the handle from the top anchor point here, and I just readjusted it and moved the handle there. Now when you're readjusting handles with the direct selection tool, you're going to affect both ends of the project. So this right here is going to be affected as well. So again, this is about practice. So if I move this around like so, it's going to be kind of weird for you to work out. So again, just play around with it, have a good time, and then just work it out from there. Now I got the outline on my phone. And now from here, what I want to do is I want to try to get the inside of the phone. I want to try to get some details. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and select let's go with the outside of this phone right here. And I'm going to go ahead and just draw that there. And then draw that there. So that's relatively close. Now there are some tools here to make this look a little bit better, like the width tool, but we'll go over that tool later and so forth. All right. So all you have to do is just try to get to where you think the phone's going to be comfortable. For just start off with just simplistic line drawing. Don't worry about the fill right now. Don't worry about how it's going to how to get it to be the color red. Just more so, just worry about how accurate you can draw with the pen tool. And this, again, it's about practice. It's about just giving it a shot, see what happens, and then go from there. So like if I was going to do, yeah, just get the line work where you want it. So that's the pen tool in a nutshell with Illustrator, and also a brief introduction into how things are reactive with anchor points and so forth, and utilizing that to the best of your ability. So again, just practice with it, have a good time with it. Once you get it through, you're good. And it just, again, comes with time and time, practice, practice, practice. So my name is Tony Arenas, and this has been another video on Illustrator, and you have a great day.